I would like to take the opportunity to thank our wonderful sponsors, PwC, ADEX, Partners, STS, and ProPMP. Thank you very much for sponsoring our event today. So here's the agenda. The first one, we will welcome and introduce, and then the keynote, and questions and answer. And we have additional information such as the PDU claim, survey for the event, and upcoming events. And then we will wrap up the event. And bonus will be a networking on spatial 15 minutes, where you'll get the chance to meet our speaker and our brand ambassador, as well as the organizing team. And also you'll get the chance to network with like-minded attendees. So today our topic is swarming working in a digital age. Our guest speaker is an expert and a thought leader in this subject. He is here today to give us great insight. I cannot wait to hear the presentation. It's going to be great. So some few housekeeping rules. All attendees will be muted during the session. The session will be recorded and be published on PMI YouTube channel. Please post your question by clicking Q&A feature below your screen. There will be 2 polls on Slido. Please participate. Event slides and answers to outstanding questions will be sent via post-event email. And bonus, as I previously mentioned, we have 15-minute networking event on spatial chat. So here is our first poll question. We would like to know a little bit more about you. Please, could you tell us where you are joining from? You can scan the barcode, or you can type the number, the Slido number, which is 4916323. We'll just give a few seconds to see where participants are joining from. Okay, wow. Oh, okay. So we have a tie here with, oh, great. Okay, Zurich is now the highest. Oh, okay. A tie with Zurich and Romandie. And then other part of Switzerland. Then we have Basel region. And then we have other part of Europe as well. So no Asian Pacific or North America. So thank you very much for participating on this poll today. Thank you. So here is the next poll. Which industry or sector are you currently working in? Please participate. We will give you a few minutes to complete it. All right. IT, 29. Manufacturing, 25%. Okay. So we have a tie between consulting and manufacturing here. And then we have information technology, which is 17, and other also 17. And we have 8% pharma and also life science. Thank you so much for participating. We really appreciate. So now I will welcome our speaker. Pierre has 15 years of agile experience with solid background as a portfolio manager and Kaizen coach in several industries, including the financial sector. For the past decade, he has accompanied approximately 200 companies globally in their agile transformation journey as an executive coach, organizational coach, and consultant. He has also several certificates, such as Master Agile Coach, Certificate Enterprise Scrum Master Trainer, and Business Agility Coach, to name a few. He is also the author of AO, Concept and Pattern of 21st Century Organization, and Swarming times X. So ladies and gentlemen, please help me to welcome Pierre E Neis. It is a great honor to have you here today. Thank you. So take it away.
So thank you for having me. This is very impressive with seeing all these lines. I'm just Pierre, and I'm an ogre since I jumped in the agile world. So I guess I'm like you. I want to learn more and more things. That's also what you didn't mention. I did also weird things. So I'm one of the responsible of the creation of the Pmi LCP certification, which is not my glorious part, and I'm helping a lot of people working on this area. Actually, I'm a PMO, so I do also agile coaching beside, and I'm doing not the agile coaching that most of the coaches are doing. It's not only training, it's really working with the teams and addressing issues. And I'm quite really known, so I'm known that if there is a mess to do, it's usually my job. So I do agile in the SAP world, and nobody wants to go in research in any kind, because I'm quite curious to understand the boundaries. So I usually summarize my way of working the last 15 years in the agile world is just more like try to understand the limits of the agile. When you say, oh, you can't do agile anywhere, I say, I didn't find an area where you can't do it. Now it's also what it's all about. Okay, so I set up a small presentation about swarming, just an appetizer, because I want to socialize with Switzerland, because I'm not from Switzerland. I'm just relocated here since 18 months. I've been hired by one of my customers, and I'm located in Sur-de-Haut-Paland. So, and I'm French guy, so, but I have a French passport, but I'm 99% German. And I'm teaching from time to time at the HEG in Genève. So, so I have a foot in Romandy and I have a foot in Zurich. But I don't like everyone, so it's okay. I have a very low level of daddy jokes, so don't be afraid. You can come after this talk and challenge me and tell me what you're thinking. Even if it's wrong, you're welcome. Unfortunately, I won't be able to see you, and I will talk in front of my screen. So now I will start sharing my screen, and I will go in my talk. So topic of today is one of the couple of talks I give since a couple of years. Is I want to understand what it is, what is the meaning of agile, what is all behind it. Because one, I had an office in Beirut and I worked a lot in the Middle East, and people are asking, hey, Pierre, what is coming after agile? And I say, that's a very good question. I really can't say, because we have to define the limits of agile, meaning what it's not agile, what means agile done and complete. And so this was opening a reflection, a research of mine to understand how it works. And swarming is a part of it. So here again, this is the agenda. This will be a small start. Is the what, for what not, and how, and a small wrap up and done. So I will have a time manager. I will have our good friend who's saying we'll stop and we'll take this maximum 45 to 50 minutes. And he will be my conscience, because I'm able to speak for the whole night. but I have to be very strict and limited. So I'm not organized that well. So I'll bring you a 2 hours discourse into a format of 45 minutes. And I really cross my fingers that you get the message. And I try to make it simple because it's just opening the gate to more deeper conversation. All right, so who I am, so like is here, this is who I am. I'm not faking, I walk the talk. If you see the picture on the top, you see my brother, which is blonde haired. He's faking to sleep. My big sister is not sleeping at all. The only guy who's sleeping very well, it's me. I'm a dad of 2 daughters, raised up in the agile way. They're crazy, they're insane. That's the love of my life, these women. And on the right side, I really believe in socializing, a deep connection with people. I took this picture, because for me, it's the message about trust, is how good they are trusting me. And these are CFOs of very well-known global company and are coming from the whole world. And they start doing this and putting the game. They felt confident with me to doing things that this makes me happy when people are showing me confidence, because then we can really work on the hard facts and come up with the real questions. So who I am, easy. I walk the talk. I'm a dad. That's the most important thing. And what I really want to build is trust customers, and the customer can trust me. That's the core of my relationship with my customers. And I try to work in Switzerland to become, let's say, politically correct and diplomatic. And this is usually what makes all the people who know me laughing a lot, because I'm quite direct and rude. I'm in nature. I'm really sorry about that. So again, here I'm working for companies called Cognizant Digital. I'm the lead for Switzerland, part of the European group of Agilists. And we try to make things a little bit different. So I have 2 roles. I'm a senior manager, but also I'm a lead Agilist for here. But my name is Pierre E Neis. Here's a couple of companies I used to work with. Actually, I'm working for a company called Glencore. I was with EN Group, which is the French government, with SwissRe here, and a lot of things. Transform big banks, large companies with, let's say, 5,000 teams and this kind of crazy things. And not only in IT, and also in the business, because I'm embracing the full company. When I say enterprise, it's not only IT, it's really to merge IT and the business and also the administration altogether. So I used to be a personal agility ambassador. I put it here. It is from my friend Peter Stevens, who is also located in Zurich. He's doing a great job on this. And I'm an alumni from the Boston Consulting Group and from the MIT, which I have one of the degrees there. But that's not a big deal. Okay, so the question I try to give an answer, what is lead me to come to the idea of swarming is, and this is a question I ask always to my customers, not to challenge them, is really to think about this, noticing that maybe this is something we are never asking ourselves, is how do you organize for purpose? So if you can cook everywhere, but if you have a great kitchen with everything in it, you usually cook better and faster. That's one of the ideas. It doesn't make you a better cook, but help you to cook better and faster. And another way around is, how are you organized and for what purpose? Because don't try to repair your car in your kitchen. It doesn't work that well, right? In the same way. So in the same way. So those 2 questions is the way, okay, how are you organized? How are your project organized? How are your programs organized? How are your portfolio organized? And how is your transactional work organized? This is the question that I will start over to say, okay, and now to get this, we can start, okay, we can use some kind of agile way of thinking, a way of doing things to organize your work and for the purpose of your work. If you have a purpose, it's just to work for your living, which is most of the case. Let's say in Switzerland, 85% of people are just working to get money for their living. meaning you're not really engaged at work. It's not your fault. It's because usually the design of the company is not fit for purpose. So in a way, we will try to work here for swarming. Is the idea is you come and you fulfill your talent, you completely exploit your talent, and you're unleashing the creativity. That's what I say, the purpose, because you know you come to do something that's bigger than yourself. 1 year or 2 years ago, I was watching Trevor Noah. I hope you know a little bit about him. It was in Britain, I guess it was in Scotland, about a big TV show. He has a joke about British colonization. British like Britain is coming to India. Oh, we discover land and we discover people, and say, oh, but there are people here, and they say. And in this discourse, which was quite funny, I had this kind of epiphany about, oh, damn, this is quite terrible, because I guess we're doing the same thing with Agile. I did the same thing with PMI, telling people, oh, we have the best solution of the universe. Please adopt our culture of way of thinking, of way of working. And this is obviously not the right way of doing thing, because he mentioned one quote that I have what we call in coaching oomph momentum. It's like, you know, this kind of shocking, oh, damn, I got the point. This isn't colonization the most arrogant form of patriotism? And what we're doing, what we have a lot of colleagues doing is, when in Agile, even in project management, is they're selling the solution, and that's, you have to follow it, and you have to follow the process, you have to follow the rule. That's quite okay if you're on very linear work like scientific management, or in system thinking, when you make a mass production, a production line, all this kind of thing, but you have no creativity, because all creativity has been done upfront. You just have to release something. And the product life cycle curve is almost thinking about the maturity part, not about the beginning, which is about what are we doing. So it's not working. We're doing the same mistake again and again. So I'm quite here, a little bit evangelization, but mostly to open the minds about how we can do it. So the thing is here, I will say, oh, damn, I'm doing exactly the same thing. And so this doesn't mean I'm not really happy with that. And another way, I was asking, do we have options? And having conversation with other coaching colleagues, you say, oh, there is something else. Instead of colonization, think about Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, okay, not the cool guy. He killed a lot of people, but he raised one of the biggest empires that we knew. We know he started in Mongolia. We know Attila ended in Spain, then conquered part of Rome, then backfired to behind the Ural. Okay, it was not really cool, but what he did was very clever. So he attacked a village, kept one people left, killed everyone else. He said, now you run to the next village, they have to surrender, elsewhere we kill them all. Then people surrendered, and they say, and now you're all Huns, you're all Mongols, right? And so you're part of us. And he continues to his trip. This means this is a growth by assimilation. Don't take this as an example about cruelty, but I was here, we're highlighting, oh, Genghis Khan has a growth by assimilation of diversity, and not about just creating standard that everyone has to adopt. And here was a key opener for me, is that, yeah, because reality is you have to embrace diversity, and Agile is all about diversity. We say data precedes framework. We are collecting data coming from different views of different minds, different way of solving problems. And when we test in trial and error, then we have something that works, and then we are able to document it and make it maybe compliant. If you do compliancy at the beginning, you usually believe that you're right track, but you never guess that you're on the wrong track, because you're addressing requirements, you don't addressing needs. And what we all want, and even in life science, which is very complex, or even in finance, which is very complex, we have a lot of demands, highly regulated environments. You have to think about to deliver first the needs, and then you deliver the requirements. This is how you plan things in Agile. So here, coming from here, I was thinking, is there science behind that? There is a couple of science, and that's one is called swarming or the flocking behavior. The flocking behavior is what is also natural to us. It says when some people say, oh, I'm doing Agile, but this is what I'm doing all the time. I say, yeah, that's good. That's exactly true. What are you doing? Then maybe we can improve what you do to be just more effective, and maybe for you better because you create better things, right? And this is all based, I do believe, my thesis today is to show you that is all based on swarming. Swarming or flopping is the natural way of human beings all behave together when they share a common goal. So you cannot flock alone. Flocking is really about teamwork. So if I come back to Agile, even project management, we say we have a project and we have a team. If you don't have a project, don't have a team, you don't have a project. No product and team, then you don't have a project. You can't have an Agile team if your teams are not a team. If you just have membership, people come and go on a project, it's not team. That's something else. So let's take here, so I create for you some kind of metaphor to highlight this main idea. And this main idea is about, okay, having here, you can see that's a bird cage. It was the only picture I found to illustrate a nest. So let's assume we're working in a hive, right? Or in a nest. That hive influences our behavior because our way of interacting with each other together. And we have some people consider it as a cage, and some people are considered just as a safe place, right? And sometimes you have the habit even to work in that place, even if the door is open, giving you option, you always somehow staying in the cage because I feel more comfortable or maybe just more safe. So some power that I have don't see that cage is still open. They are not able to process the information. Some will die with that open door and some will fly away. And some will come back and fly and come back. And some understand that it's a possibility, is a new option. So the way of going through the gate, getting out, is a way to challenge the way of working and giving new options, enlarge their horizon. So, and here, so what now, if we want to go in an Agile way, we can say here, so you are part of this hive and you've been trained as an Agilist, you have a certification, you make a Scrum Master, you pay $150, you're PSM1, that's it. And now you're Agile. You are Agile. It doesn't mean that the whole hive is Agile. So that's the difference. You can have an Agile. If I'm going at the customer, I believe I'm Agile, but I'm sure that if I'm working there, I can work there 5 years. It doesn't make the whole hive Agile, right? Maybe some will interact with me, but you still keep your nature. But this is something else. Curiously, if you make a yellow cage, an Agile cage, an Agile nest, an Agile hive, you don't care if the parrots are Agile or not. The interaction is Agile. So it's a human interaction, is individuals and their interaction. It means how we interact makes us Agile, is how we work together. It doesn't change your nature. It doesn't change your culture. It doesn't change your beliefs. It's just at this moment in time, when we're working together, we're working as a team, and that behavior is what we call Agile. For that, we need to have a yellow cage, right? And that yellow cage is my Agile organization. That Agile organization gives me an option, a couple of options, because once in a while, the birds that go, hey, let's go all together. Let's go outside. Let's see what happened outside. Let's explore the environment. Let's see if we have new options there, because I want to have more. And I discover surroundings and I discover new food. That's a big idea. And there is a process. This way of processing is quite interesting. It's the swarm, because I was curious to understand, why are the birds flying together? When you migrate, we can see every migration times, upstream or downstream, there are flying together. And I was curious to understand, okay, why is it so? And then there is some science behind this. To have a swarm to allow you to go experimenting, to chase new feed, to discover new horizon, to be more creative, you have to separate the swarm from the hive or from the nest. The hive, to feel is working in a several way. They have alignment. People are aligned together. There is some kind of cohesion because they know why they are together. You're just not following the hive, but usually you know why you're here, and you avoid collisions. So it's not really a process, is a consequence of an organic behavior. So how a group of birds are moving forwards. So we have simple rules: separation from the hive, alignment, sharing the same direction, cohesion, fly as a collective, and avoidance. Because sometimes flying as a collective is quite interesting because it provides you the same safety net, or the feeling of safety that you have in the hive, but then moving forward. Because some are more extrovert and some are more introvert, and that's okay, right? So very, very concrete examples here. So we have from the history of system organization, we know that work has started with scientific management. This is also called Taylorism. But we can use this metaphor from traffic light control. I saw this from Beyond Budgeting. Bjarte Bogne is speaking about this, using this metaphor. So scientific management is typically traffic light control. You have one guy on the switches controlling the traffic. That's quite okay when you have a little flow. But when the flow increases, it doesn't work that good. So you have a lot of jam effect. This is Zurich Friday evening. It's a nightmare, right? Or it was the last weekend, last Friday in Basel. It was a nightmare. So traffic jam, crazy traffic jam. So then we say, okay, we should improve this model in the system thinking way. So let's do something else. Let's create buses. So less car, more buses, public transportation. That worked quite well a certain moment in time. Then again, traffic jam, because not always people are needing to take the bus, then need to have cars, and then we have lorries, then motorcycles. And again, the model with traffic lights doesn't work. Then here we are coming with here mass customization approach, which is a system thinking, or the lean if you prefer, about here. So let's review the design. Let's go with this roundabouts. And roundabouts is you remove the control and you try to introduce the idea of self-control, but about some kind of surroundings of a design helping you to get this kind of control. And again, so when you have this here, this, when you're increasing the flow, again, this is stocking. And there's a crazy thing emerging in UK, what, 50 years or 60 years ago. It's called the margin roundabout. And that margin roundabout has been designed using the flocking behavior method, very curiously. So that's the magic roundabout in Swindon. And for shortly 1 minute video to explain, explanatory video to explain how it works.
You know how England likes to call some of its intersections circuses, and it doesn't make any sense? Well, here's one roundabout that actually deserves the title, even if it doesn't get it. Your first thought upon seeing Swindon's magic roundabout might be, man, the Brits are really off their rockers lately. But this thing, which is actually 7 roundabouts in one, has been working for 60 years. In a regular roundabout, traffic moves in one direction. In Swindon Circle, cars move both ways. Also, drivers can move from point A to point B without having to drive all the way around the circle. But they do have the option to use different routes to get to the same exit in order to avoid traffic. It may look chaotic, but it's actually pretty efficient because it means less fighting for space. You just point your vehicle toward where you want to go, yield to cars already in the midst of the magic, then Brexit on the other side. Many Americans may hate roundabouts, but they can actually cut serious crashes by 30%. Swindon says its roundabout has only seen 1 fatal crash in the past 5 years. So to celebrate a town anniversary, they paraded over 60 vintage cars through this feat of traffic engineering. Is this madness? Nope, it's Swindon.
Okay, there's a couple of other videos on YouTube who is being more explicit with the introduction of the concept of flocking behavior. Another way around, if you go deeper here, is like I mentioned, Boyd. Boyd is also a simulation on a computer from the 70s, try to transmit the idea of flocking behavior. And also New York traffic urbanization have been used flocking behavior to avoid congestion. I know it's not perfect in New York, but there's a couple of ideas emerging here. So I keep this here. And from this, there's a lessons taken, which is about how does it work? The rules are very, very simple. If you go there, is point to the destination, avoid collision. You don't need to have advanced planning skills and following the lines. That's nothing more. And this is obvious for most of the people who drive a car. All right, based on this illustration, I want to go here more on the concept. I try to design from a more pragmatic manner, how can we use this idea of swarming? And those arguments for swarming is, we know that solutions are emerging from small baby step approach from hypothesis to actionable solution. This is a quote from Dave Snowden, Cognitive Edge, who's tried to design a concept-based categorization model called Cynefin, explaining how complex systems are working. Complex system, a complex behavior, right? The system is when you have co-creation, you come with new solution. You're not afraid about how you work and handle unknown situation like we have experienced in the COVID time. And actually, when you know that the just-in-time doesn't work any longer, and you have to figure out new ideas, new concepts very rapidly to solve the problem, maybe the future of the company. And if you just apply the lesson you learned from the past and you apply just processes, this doesn't work any longer. So you have to be very creative. And usually all the solutions are already in the company. You just have to allow people to express them. So based on this, I came out from a lot of conversation with the last time I worked with a customer. I had to design, help them to set up a digital finance, 4,000 people, mostly business and administration. Oh, we want to go there, and we use swarming. See, swarming, what is that? And this is more from the business. And this swarming, I heard a lot of times say what it is all about. And then I heard also IT developers also doing swarming. They say, yeah, okay, that's not the same thing. So what we're talking here is something I discovered from a couple of experiments from the past, which is most likely coming out from service design experiments, workshops, and from facilitation. And I have, let's say, emerging patterns of doing things. We know we have to start in the swarming to notice that there's a problem, start to think about options, prototype going to a viable solution. This works only if you have a safe container to allow safe to fail experiments. And then you have an emergence of competence and learning experiencing. Then you create as an outcome something called a customer journey, a team alignment, a team excellence, a customer delight. Because this all try to connect people together in what is now called agile way of working. But this is going to focus on a swarm of people having just sharing one goal to solve a problem during a one portion of time. How can we do this like a bird swarming from the cage into a new horizon? And this I will come a little bit later on this to explain. So swarming here, again, remember, we have to think about separation, alignment, cohesion, avoidance. So when you do swarming, because I have with Daimler Group, they have, oh, we do swarming. And then you discover that your team, which is agile, they have to dedicate 20% of their time to swarm. It means just multitasking. That's not separation. Separation means that you or maybe your team member are away from the project for another project, but not for 6 months, of a maximum of 2 weeks. That's very rapid. That's a rapid migration, right? And this idea comes out with a lot of text. You can read it afterwards here. when I give away the slides. So here is leaving the nest. Each of decide to swarm. So it's nobody is pushed to swarm. If you don't want to swarm, it's not a problem. Don't swarm. Cohesion. But here is coming also what Daniel Mesick says, having the right invitation. So you know why you're coming here. You're just not coming because you want to be cool or you want to have points of PDUs or SEUs or something like this. No, you do it because you appeal to do it. It's like, I want to contribute to Wikipedia because it's cool, it's fun, it makes sense for me, right? And then you have this kind of dynamic when you can create what is self-management, because you know why you're here, you know what you're doing, nobody's telling you what to do. At the end, the outcome will entace everyone. Okay, so here's the swarming process. Just asking my timekeeper, am I on track or am I late?
You are 30 minutes away from your end.
More like a takeaway. This is how I processed it a little bit. So we have here problems, solutions. We're going from, we have here 4 steps: problem, options, prototype, viable solution. This is what I call the swarming process. We are going from prototype to minimal viable product to a solution. And that solution is not the full solution, is really a workable solution to start. And so the problem is, it's an ideation workshop, right? Is to understand what is the problem. We try to state, this is a workshop. When you have a workshop, figure out the workshop where you're all online, the teams are online, you have the customer there, and you have also your management. All the people having interest on this are here. And the problem, and the customer is stating the problem, and you're able to ask out of it. So your first time is the first time you have a contact, and you're asking, who is your customer? Who are your user? What do you want? When it works like what? And to get there, what should you do? And what happened yesterday? You try to figure out all the spectrum with the customer, and this is time box on 1 day maximum, right? And then in problem set it has very, very easy things. So usually you have the customer coming, explain the demand, and you split out in small teams, and you generate first idea, then you destroy the ideas, then you create a new idea based on the ashes of the old one. And then you align of the idea. At the end, everyone shows up the idea in front of the customer, and the customer has to decide what idea sounds the good one to solve the problem. So this is here. Then we're going in a second workshop. The next day is options. Option is the same thing, is based with the same problem that we decided previously. And we get several teams again, and each are working to find a solution to try to solve a problem on their own way. And the teams are demoing options. And at the end, the audience is voting about what is the best option to solve that problem. And this in the audience, you already have the customer, and the customer has to be involved. It's not coming and going. It's part of it. So then, because then you have an agreement, okay, yes, this is what we want to do. Then you go in the next day, number 3 is starting work on a prototype. And a prototype is very simple, is start with the option, design a prototype, build a prototype, test the prototype, destroy to get the minimal viable product. Destroy means you have the prototype, then you remove all the fat of the prototype to get at the core, the essence of the prototype. Then you have the minimal viable solution, a workable thing. Then you have a type. You always tested the idea on going in the street, asking. This is a very service design-ish approach. But you have to test the idea first to be sure, okay, are we on the right track? If I do that, do I have customers who are willing to buy it? Then we're going in viable solution. And viable solution is usually the next week. The next week, because the week ends here on prototype, we have an agreement. Yeah, that's a prototype. Yes, that's the MVP. Yes, you agree this. Now the team developers, you're ready to go to develop. And here's not only IT, it's any kind. And then you develop. And then the next week, the team is working on a viable solution. They do development, they do the review, and they do the deployment in the week. And because all the guys have worked with all the stakeholders together during 1 week, You make a review at the end of the week, which is not a review, this is how I did. No, it's really an acceptance testing, a UAT, when everyone gives his voice and we have an agreement, and then you can deploy. So you can do very, very rapid stuff in a very very short time. It works well. It's a little bit crazy, but it works well. To wrap up, I'm coming at the end. Swarming is an invitation. It's not more a parallel running activities. There's no multitasking. It means you have to leave the nest. You have to leave the hive to be able to do it. You can use it here. You have different types. You can go from one hive to another. You can swarm from one hive to another. You can move if you're a large company, you can move from one team to another because it makes more sense. I use swarming in organization design. When I'm helping organization design, is how I'm planning 4 programs with multiple teams across the globe. And I'm using this without saying, oh, I do agile things. It's in an SAP environment. It's very structured for the customer. I'm doing this and people, because I want to have people engaged. So here you have some small are leaving, some are coming back. So I'm just building a new nest. That's okay. And you have some birds like the owl in the middle who are not team player. And that's okay, also okay. We call it, there are gleaners, or there are helpers, or I call it also floaters. They have knowledge and they come to share with the team. They have to feed the team with something. Like subject matter expert that can go in a team because they're not team players, but they have to feed the teams, the agile team of doing things, right? So here's an organization development sphere. So I can give you a hand over because I want to close it, because I want really to give you some answers of your Q&A. If multiple systems exactly using the same thing, here it works without saying what to do. You're completely open to explain to people how to do. This me as a coach to understand, and with other coaches, I explain how the behavior of the teams are. And then we have emerging teams, emerging patterns using the same logic, and to be sure to be a very high performing teams. So swarming when, coming in the conclusion, swarming when every initiative or project should start first as a swarm. So the big mistakes we did also in an agile transformation planning for a huge bank. So we did all the customer journey, the high level planning, all the kind of thing. It was very cool, good idea. When you hand over to the people in charge of the execution, it becomes a nightmare. So the thing is, it's end to end. So everything has to start with a swarm. So for me, in some term, a swarm is nothing else than a project, a small project. Then you test. Instead of having somebody working 8 months to analyze all the potential, you go in the idea, you test the idea a very short amount of time. If you failed, you didn't lose time. If you win, or maybe you get ideas, you create options so leaders can take decisions, and you did the decision based on fact and not only on feelings. Swarming is a proof of concept, a spike, the only true data validating the hypothesis. So swarmings look like this. And now let's talk. And I thank you so much. I'm Pierre E Neis, a couple of books. And that's it. I'm done. Dear timekeeper, did I respect our deal?
Oh, perfect. Perfect.
Thank you so much.
What a great presentation. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
This is remarkable for somebody who pretends to be doing Agile to be on time. Because we always have this excuse, we're Agile, we're not late.
It's a nightmare. That's because I'm living in Switzerland. You can call me SBB. I'm kidding. I'm not good in timing at all.
All right. So now we have some time for discussions, as Pierre was saying, some questions. The way to do that is use this Q&A option here at the bottom of your screen to type in your question, and then we'll answer that. Now, there you have it.
So here is the Q&A question. Please type your questions, and our speaker would be here to answer all your questions.
And my job, which is a lot of added value, is just to read it to you, Pierre. And I'm going to start with the first one that I have here. First question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I like this one. So you said earlier that Agile works everywhere, right? Or more or less. And the question is, have you ever been in a situation where you had to say, no, Agile doesn't work here?
Yeah, when people are stupid. When you're working with, if let's say, I'm kidding here, but if you see that it's just political, you will say you will not, they want it for the wrong reasons. They wanted, oh, we are Agile in the US, can you Agilize the whole world for us, for a company we work with? No, I don't want to do this. It's just wrong. Like it's all about the methodology. It's not about method and tools. It's called it's called the kairos or episteme. It's what is doing the right thing at the right moment in time. That's why you need to have a quite good practicing Agile coach, and maybe a team of Agile coaches having multiple skills, different skills, because we are looking in all different situations, and you have to read. And so also the term coaching is quite interesting. It means you are full of doubts. You never know. So usually when Agile doesn't work, it's just because of the people which are on the system, and they have maybe different agendas.
Great. I also have a question here.
Yeah, go ahead.
How does a conflict get resolved in Agile team?
We're killing people. Like everywhere, we have people with skills, with conflict, we have people aggressive. So the good thing when you have some kind of coaching skills, you can be on non-violent communication. But sometimes I have friends, when I say this, which behave like priests, Lutheran, say, oh, let's speak together. When they're coming to me, I just more pissed, right? But it's like in family, you're allowed to be sometimes pissed and have emotions. The problem is not hiding emotions, is to make it clear, to make a statement clear. If the deals are clear, it's okay. But some people are just come to spoil, and then you say, I'll give you an option, don't need to be here. If you think you're losing time, up to you.
Okay, so I have one more question, and then we'll start taking the ones on the Q&A. So does the Agile team get dissolved after the project is completed?
Maybe
As
yes.
you know, I'm new to Agile, so I want to know these questions.
No, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. I was thinking the other way around. Usually you start, you're building a team. That's usually the purpose of an Agile coach or a Scrum Master. We are a strong believer about building teams. The problem after a while, you want that your team is end to end. You have full coverage of the project. And once in a while, you have to change things, and you have more and more dependencies. And you should know that you have to redesign the teams. And you don't want to redesign the teams. So then you have a team member and say, okay, but the next quarter, the things I love to do is in the other team. Then I will go in two teams and say, no, you have to choose. So the problem is not leaving the team, is also giving the people the freedom to leave the team and come back again. So it's tricky, right? That's not easy at all, right? But I prefer this kind of question, which my team, when I have usually 40% of the time dedicated on this, and they're working on home office at their home in India, and you try to chase them the whole time, and I'm not progressing, and I see all the project, I see all their name there, I say, oh my God, it's not possible. So usually when you think actually what's about the team, that's a good question, because most of the companies are not neither at this team feeling. You're still good. I hope I give you an answer.
Very, very clear, great answer.
You just don't do short answers, do you?
Don't like
here's one for you. I'm going to just read it for you here. It's a long question. I'm going to just summarize it. Basically, is what are your thoughts about Disciplined Agile? Is it better to follow a framework or use an Agile toolkit such as Disciplined Agile?
The Disciplined Agile, even I'm a friend of Scott. It's a nice idea. It's not really a framework. It's a good introduction to there is one big problem is that Agile at scaling is not Agile. It's a production line. You scale a production line. You can't scale teams. So here that's different. But another way around, also working with Michel Thierry, which is one of the big speakers on program management at PMI, they say we need more and more people having the skills of project management, the skills of program management, because project at scale, like what DA try to address, is just program management. And we have to get out of the dust of the program management thing and come to explain people what to do. And this is more pragmatic in the right way of thinking, because a program is a collection of projects and we have transactional work. Then there's a way you're doing Agile. Then people come, oh, you can do it in the lean way. Even lean is not done for this. Lean is a production line. Usually when you're on a production line, it means it's still the end of the product, right?
Yeah, I tend to agree with you. So I'm with PMI. I'm supposed to like DA and be a big supporter of DA, and I am, don't get me wrong. But I think you're right. When you try to scale, you end up with this kind of problems. And I think it's a bit unfair to look at scaling Agile and totally dismiss scaling project management, which has pretty much the same problems when you scale a project.
Yeah, so I have another talk where I explain, I was in Lausanne the last time at the conference, I explained the 12 steps to go there. One of the steps is going from the agility to what I call awareness, this kind of, and to create the structure. To create a structure is create project management skills. Because when people say we are waterfall, they're not even waterfall. It's just chaotic. And when I say agility is for me just agile entertainment. We're doing some kind of thing and we are agile, and you're going and you're kissing the trees and doing crazy stuff. It's more pragmatic like this. Agile is really farmer's job is. And so we have to be very down to the earth with this. And project management help this. I had my best team, I remember, of very high skill, very high mature. It was my 5 teams from Prince 2. And I came to them with agile techniques, and they absorb it on the go, they absorb the ideas. Oh, that solved my problem. That solved everything. But they already had this knowledge. So I do believe there's some type of skills you have to know, even in Agile, in any kind. And I do believe project management is part of it. But I'm also involved in DA, I'm the advisor for people management globally for DA, which just means nothing.
Since we talked about DA and PMI, what's your view on PMI's approach to project management being actually a mix of predictive, adaptive, and hybrid? So not agile and waterfall, or agile versus waterfall. It's just a mix of these approaches. What are your thoughts?
So one word I can't hear any longer is hybrid. I'm driving an electric vehicle. I know that hybrid cars are just driving fuel and no electric at all. So hybrid doesn't exist. It's just a way to resist to change. The thing is really to have to change. Then you have to take decision. What's the problem if you want to stay old school? That's not a big deal. I'm quite sure that most of the agile transformation are just no transformation at all. They're doing, now we have the new models, you have the SAFe, which is just crap, is something, but I'm a SAFe expert for my customers, because I never challenge my customer because they have a problem, and I do believe that methodology will help them. And I will ask them, what's the problem I want to solve? Oh, want to agile transformation? No, that's my deal. What's the problem you try to solve? Then you start a conversation. It usually works very well because you go to the point. If you want to sell a method and tools, that's old school. That's something you have to forget. So here again, Disciplined Agile is quite open. I'm not really okay with the Scrum Master training, because I wanted to be a trainer for disciplines. Oh, you have to pass the exams. So I pass no exams. I'm multi-branded. I have way too much certification. I don't want to have more, but I would love to help. And then I help in another way.
You just reminded me of somebody who said, no, if you have a certification, it means nothing. If you don't have it, there's a problem.
Yes, and the certification, I certified Agile Coach. I have an advanced Agile coaching training. And I say, hey, there guys, you have the certificate, but that's just the beginning. That's really the beginning. Yeah. Because I'm hiring for Cognizant, I'm hiring the whole Europe, and people usually have, if you don't have a certification, usually people say, oh, last time I said, I got a certification on LinkedIn. I say, what? forget it. No, not even though. Then usually it's PSM1, say, okay, you make the test online. So, okay, come on. And then you make interviews for them and say, if the guy is just giving the answer like what is written in the book, like a parrot, right? Paraphrasing, you say, no, I don't want you. I want somebody who has a brain. What is your capacity to think? I had a woman, she did all wrong. I want to control. I say, sure, you want to, sorry, I didn't. So you saw in her face that she would say, yeah, I want this lady, because you have the creativity to switch your way of thinking base. And that's not a problem how you're telling, is how you're behaving. That's making a huge difference.
I have another question, which is interesting, but just deriving from that one, since we mentioned certifications, in your definition, what would be the main traits, the main characteristics of a good agilist as an individual?
An eccentric, good. Short question, short answer. It's a questioner, not a believer. Short, no?
All right. That's succinct enough. Yeah. And the question I was mentioning earlier is what is the perfect agile team? Can you describe it?
Adam's family. My perfect team is your crazy people. I had a perfect agile. They're all insane, really insane, crazy, and you have the quiet and the nasty and the naughty, and it's the Adam family. You have all the profile, and people, you see them in their eyes. They're passionate. They're feeling free to tell it like it is, and they're comfortable to say how it is. They're not playing the goals and not shut up, and you're not coming working at work and you're in apnea the whole day, then you get out just to breathe up. You don't make the difference between your life at work and your life at home in a way as a human being. That's for me the agile, perfect agile team.
Yeah. And then we have a question here, which already answered partially, which is, what advice would you give to a future entrepreneur who chooses the good collaborators, the team, to mount his project? Can a startup also be agile? I'm tempted to answer this question myself, but I won't, so please.
That's a very good question. I do believe it's very complicated for a startup to be agile. In a way that usually what happens is that you have the developers working 15 hours a day, and you have the CEO just chasing for money all the time. They believe they're agile, but there is no work-life balance. So it's very, very complicated to be agile as a startup. You can use a lot of agile techniques. Indeed, it works. It works well. But the risk is how you manage your time.
I fully agree with you. And I remember somebody asked me this question a while ago, and I said, look at the manifesto, and there's something about sustainable rhythm, sustainable pace. Yeah. If you're in a startup, it's going to be anything but sustainable, you know.
And you have to break. I had teams. I remember it was once a time 7 teams in the big room in Brussels. And I came in the morning. One guy started to cry. It was a business owner. So crying at 9 a.m. in the morning. That's way. What happened? Oh, I get a message from Hans. He's our delivery manager. He was rude. I say, Hans is always rude. That's how it is. But they say, oh, what happened? So a colleague started to have a conversation with him. And I just, let's look at the team members. And I see all the guys, it was 70, 80 guys. They behave like drug addicts. Under pressure, adrenaline full, and they say, I went to the Scrum Master. Hey, do you see what I see? Yeah, slow down everything, and please, maybe I recommend if the sprint ends, the next day do nothing, then start the second day, because they need to calm down. Because if you have burnouts, turnover of people, that's a waste of people's minds. That's not good. But we know people of the fashion of marketing and the marketing of agile and the branding. It's not complicated. It's very easy, agile, but it's the interaction which makes everything complicated, because you will have to fight in some way.
There's another one coming through, another question. I'm going to just read it again. I like Thierry, I think it's Michel Thierry, perspective that programs are scaled agile initiatives, but not all programs are agile. what makes a program management agile?
So for the record, Michel, you're wrong. You have to call me. No, it's program management is a very good set of techniques, and we have a couple of conversations with Michel on it. The problem is the word scaling, which I disagree, because scaling has always this kind of, oh, we are building a factory. It's never a factory. Even project management is always from scratch a new idea. Even if you do migration, even if you make a decommission of something and you create a new stuff, it's always new, always new. And if you take this as, oh, we just apply the processes and deploy it, it will bump. You will have a nightmare. Then you have your program cost you a billion euros of francs. And then after 10 years, somebody comes and cut it. That's something I wanted to shake the hand to a CEO in a big bank who cut a program who cost €1 billion in Brussels. Say, what? Because you have to be able to stop it. Indeed. So maybe I'll give you an answer. But yes, I do believe there is something to do properly with Michel, but also Johanna Rothman, very interesting lady in the Agile world. And she also worked closely. We have a couple of people working closely in the Agile world with the PMI. I do believe there is something to do, and maybe not calling program management because this resonates to all times, but in fact, it is program management. And we have to call it differently, but not calling scaling. Because scaling is just doing the wrong thing. Scaling is just doing Agile for the management, never caring about the customer. And
you just gave me an idea here. Maybe we should have a call with you and Michel. That'll be fun. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it is funny. We are calling. We are good friends, you know. I like Michel.
Yeah, you know what they say? If you ask 3 consultants for an advice, you get at least 20 opinions.
Sure, that's a good thing.
Let me go through with my list of questions here. I like this one because I was myself involved in agile implementations for many organizations and banks, and I remember at some point when I was mentioning the word agile, the reply I got from this gentleman from the bank was, "Sir, this is a bank. We're not supposed to be agile," and I was laughing. So the question is, how do you reconcile swarming with compliance and regulation?
Yeah, that's a good point. Well, that's something that will be in my next book. This is here, and that's how you plan the project from a product owner perspective. And in the phase one, you deliver needs, and then you adjust the needs, and then you add the requirements, and then you're compliant. That's how you phase. And here comes the project management part. Make phase one is the needs. MVP is only needs. Because maybe your bank is bankrupt, but we were compliant. That's just stupid. But you have to focus when you start a project in an Agile way. Agile is a good excuse for this. Is, do we have a customer? What is his name? Do we have the users? And this and that. And we are just focusing on the needs. So you deliver the needs, so you get the input of the users, then you can adjust and you start the conversation. Then once you deliver maybe the first draft of something that works, it's not nice, it's maybe not compliant, but you can have this kind of safe container in let's say a sandbox or whatever, when it's not going live, but you already have the feedback. And then you can add from time, you're adding more and more compliance, and maybe after a while you're more. And so I'm challenged in life science, so you have to have sign off every 5 seconds. Okay, let's automatize the sign-offs. So you move this away from the team, and the team can focus and deliver the needs. But you have to trick the system. You have to be creative.
Yeah, I guess we're seeing that with many like fintechs and startups, even banks, even traditional banks are moving to this model more and more.
Oh, everyone. But now the big trend is coming from companies like Bain, Boston Consulting, McKinsey. They call it Agile at Scale. Even Gartner. Agile at Scale is a mix of it's really a mix of OKRs, a little bit of SAFe, and a little bit of what they call a Spotify model, which is not the model at all, right? But it's the only value is a little bit better but that's when you want to change your company, because that model is helping unbundling, is, let's say, cutting the functional silo with something else. That's quite helpful, but in fact, it's always, nobody cares about the execution, is where the value is created. And if you take a look about any kind of agile method or whatever, if you can't see the customer, turn your feet and move away.
Yeah, and I guess that's why everybody is moving now to value stream mapping, value stream,
which is lean.
Which is lean indeed.
So
I'm not gonna say,
just for the record, people doing SAFe, and in fact they're doing what? They're doing Scrum. So don't call it SAFe, call it Scrum.
Yeah. I have a question which is really interesting. So it's about a bit of history here. So we're operating with concepts like Scrum or the Agile Manifesto, which were created 20 or 30 years ago. Do we need a newer paradigm today, or are these still applicable?
I think
one, isn't it?
This is for more a mental sanity about thinking every time to improve the model. That's good. But the problem, Scrum always works, but you have to go to the core of Scrum. Scrum is coming from organization design and complex system thinking. Now the last version of the Scrum Guide is just crap. Just send a message, oh, you have a true leader and you have this kind of, the reference of lean has nothing to do with lean, has something to do with Kaizen, but not with lean. Lean is the American version of Kaizen, right? And Kaizen is way more open, very more interesting, but they still have it. But I invite you to go on my Medium profile. I wrote something called Scrum X. It was some kind of exercise for me to make it very simple, based on swarming. When you come with option, we will see this is all about here. You do, and it works in Scrum, because Scrum creates this kind of, the swarming to fly of one nest to another. You have the sprint is a safe to fill container. Then it allows you to experiment. And when I say you're part of a Scrum team, you can't be dedicated to somebody else. Then, which is usually the big challenge, right? And because, you're part of 7 Scrum teams, no, not good. But then it works. Again, short answer, yes, it works well. I do believe the 2 good things you have to take from Agile, go on the basic Scrum. I will recommend the 2020 or 2010 Scrum Guide was, I think, for me, the first and the best. And easy, simple Kanban. Visualize work so you can see where the blockers are. And not only 3 columns, I have 25 columns, because when it's complex, you can see where the blockers are. And then it's about making the work visible, and you can take a decision on this. It is obvious for everyone in the team. And then is how you work. And the good thing with Scrum, when it's well done, it means the product owner is part of a team. It's not the one who gives you orders. It's not the boss. There is no boss. And Scrum is work on a simple metaphor is mommy, daddy, and the kids. And the kids are growing, and mommy is a Scrum Master. Mommy is here to feed and protect. And the daddy is giving the direction, nothing more. And there is no boss in it. There's no boss. And then you have a real performing meetings. I had my product owners in every dailies, even the customers. And then very, very advanced Scrum teams in finance. Hello. But it works great. It works well.
Yeah, I would disagree a bit with you here. I think mommy is the boss. No doubt about that.
Again, what?
Which is about family. Mommy is the boss at the end.
Yeah, indeed, it's the boss.
Yeah. Here's another one. So we've been moving from iteration-based agile with iterations of a few weeks to flow, to DevOps, to continuous delivery. What's next?
I should recommend you to come back. No, it's not because, no, I like flow. The problem is the flow is destroying the team mentality, which is based on the wisdom of the crowd. That's the big thing. It's very complicated. It working on the flow. It's good. It looks great on the paper. The problem is you don't have this team. You want to stay an expert in your domain, work on the flow. So we have this it's reduced the cross-functionality behavior. That's the risk. But I prefer that you do in flow, that you're doing something like something else. That's good. But the risk is, yeah, having big teams, 20 guys working, oh, we all flow, we're all doing in Kanban. The risk is Kanban works hand in hand with Scrum. Scrum is just created boundary. Most of my teams here, so I'm designing even this evening a high-level plan of an SAP deployment in finance, in P2P and FICO and this kind of MMM stuff. Not really cool, mostly in finance, mostly in business. And I do 1 week sprints. Because the people I know that won't be fully dedicated, but I want to create a cadence, a rhythm. So I'm never telling, I'm never pushing people. I create the system I designed. We create the tension. And I try to keep this tension quite the most positive as possible.
Okay, good. I think we have time for one more, 2 questions. Isato, you let me know. Is it okay to go?
Yes,
one or
yes,
two more
it's
questions?
okay to go.
I am new to project management. What should I learn?
You should learn the theory, but mostly discuss with project manager, the PMI. I like PMI. I'm also contributing to IPMA in the conferences, but the most interesting is having the socializing conversation, and you will discover there's a lot of people having different knowledge, doing different angle. Be curious. Be curious is everything. I have a master in project management. I never use it, and I'm still every day. I'm still the most stupid project manager ever, every time. But yeah, it's interesting because it's only interesting if you're building something. If you come as a project manager just to managing something that somebody else created, run away. It's not fun. Has to be fun, right?
All right. So that would be like the final quote for tonight. It has to be fun.
Has to be fun.
Yeah.
Has to be fun.
Look the
All
result.
right.
White hair, big belly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Pierre.
Thank you for having me.
Isato,
Yeah.
back to you.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. This was very interesting topic, and you know, the questions were really great. Thank you, Florian. The questions were really interesting, and thank you also, Pierre, for giving your answers. It's really great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I say hello to IPTL.
Thank you. Yeah. So now, thank you very much, everyone. I'm very happy. I'm glad that you stick with us until the end. Thank you very much. We really appreciate. And thanks to our speaker. So here is our speaker's LinkedIn details. If anyone wants to connect with him on LinkedIn, then you can scan the barcode here, and then you can connect with Pierre Neis or Pierre Neis on LinkedIn. Nice, okay.
No, and you can send me
list.
questions if you have other questions. Have a call.
Yeah.
It's fun. I love it. It's inspiring.
And also, many thanks to my team, to my my organizing team who made this event possible. They've worked so hard. They've really supported me. I cannot thank them enough. So Leandro Benda, thank you very much. He has been here for me since the start. Tando Dube as well has been here for me as well, supporting me from the marketing side of it. And then Florian, of course, he's our agile expert as well. So he's done really great job as well. So thank you, everyone. I really appreciate your support. Thank you. And then here is our brand ambassadors. So today for our networking event, we will have Alexandra Seeger, who would be attending our networking event for 15 minutes. And if you have any questions regarding PMI Switzerland, then Alexandra is your guy. So he'll be there to answer all your questions. If you want to volunteer or if you want to know more about our PMI initiatives and so on. So he'll be there to help you. And of course, we have Lorenco and also Loic as well as our PMI brand ambassadors. However, today it's only Alexandra that will be attending this networking. And here is our upcoming events. So we have really, really interesting event lined up for you. So first of all, we have the Project Management Network Apero, which we've started this in different region of our PMI Switzerland. So this Apero, the Project Management Networking Apero, this one is in Boulay. So it's in the Romandie area. And then we have the Pmi Coffee Talk, which we normally have every month. So this is going to be on the 3rd of June. I would highly recommend that you attend it. I attended the last one and it was really fun. It was just relaxing area, very informal, and get to share ideas and so on. So that is really nice. And then next we have our Project Management Networking Apero that is in Lausanne as well. So it is in the Romandie side. This is going to be on the 7th of June. So this is another one as well to look up to. It's summertime, so we have a lot of after work aperos coming up. And then we have another interesting event that is coming up, which is Agile. Can Agile enable a full scope transformation approach? So this is going to be on the 9th of June. And it's going to be in Basel at the PwC office. I will highly recommend that you attend this. Of course, I will not miss it as well. I will attend it. I'll probably have to come to Basel and attend it because I'm based in Zurich. And then we have the one in Zurich, the Project Management Networking Apero. That is going to be in Zurich on the 16th of June. And this is going to be in person as well. And the location is to be confirmed very soon. So for further information, please go to our website, pmi-switzerland.ch and /event. There you will find all our upcoming events that are coming up for this year. Then here is another important information as well. Anyone who wants to become a volunteer, so we have a variety of volunteering spaces right now. So if you want to be a volunteer, please email our HR at pmi-switzerland.ch. So they will be able to help you and guide you through how you can apply and process your application. I would highly recommend that you volunteer for PMI. I mean, since I started volunteering 2 years ago, I've learned so much. I've met amazing colleagues, and everyone is it's like we are family units. So we help each other. We have fun. It's amazing. I cannot recommend it enough. So please contact our HR if you like to become a volunteer. And please also, we will really, really appreciate it if you can follow us on our social media. We are on all the social media channels, as you see, most of the important ones, well, except are interested in, and then you can just learn a lot from our YouTube, from our previous events. Okay, so now, thank you very much. We are very happy to continue improving our service. Please, we would like you to give 3 minutes of your time to answer our short survey. So you can either scan the barcode, or you can click on my colleague Florian will share the link on the chat. So you can complete the survey for us, please. We'll really appreciate it. And also for PMI members, here is our PDU code, and this one as well. please note it down, and I will just call it for convenience. So it's C261X IFN4W. So this will be our PDU client code for PMI members. Thank you very much. And a warm thank you again to our attendees. Thank you very much for your engagement. We really appreciate you being here today, and we cannot do it without you. Thank you so much for the support. We appreciate. And also many thanks again to our sponsors, PwC, ADEX Partner, ProPMP, and SDS. These are our sponsors, and they are, without them as well, we cannot have this event. They've been so amazing in supporting us and in their sponsorship. Thank you very much. We really appreciate. And now is the networking time. So please join us on Spatial Chat, and we'll have 15-minute networking. It's not too long, so it's just to get to know each other, and also to connect with our brand ambassador, and our speaker will be there, and also just to chat with like-minded attendees. Who knows, you might learn other things, more information there, and then just to connect really. So this is why we have the networking event, the networking session for you. And my colleague Florian will share the link as well to the special chat. We'll share it on the chat here, on the Zoom chat, and or you can scan the barcode, and we can meet there. See you there in a little while. Thank you very much for your time again, and we really appreciate. Have a nice evening.